Why do the chosen ones walk alone? Why is it that those who carry God's anointing often find themselves in solitude, surrounded by silence rather than applause, by betrayal rather than loyalty, by misunderstanding rather than support? My friend, if you are listening to this and feel the weight of isolation in your soul, you must understand it is not a punishment, it is a preparation. It is not rejection, it is redirection. It is not rejection, it is redirection. It is not God removes the crowd so he can have you to himself. God calls his chosen vessels away from the noise of the world so they may hear the whisper of his voice more clearly. You are not abandoned, you are being hidden. Hidden not because you are unworthy, but because you are worthy of divine preservation. When God puts his hand upon a life, he often surrounds that life with quietness, not because he wants you to suffer, but because he wants you to grow. He wants you to learn to lean on him and him alone. And when you lean on God, you will find a strength that no friend could ever provide. You will find a peace that no company could replicate. You will find an identity not built on the validation of others, but on the unshakable truth that God knows you, God sees you, and God has called you. Chosen ones do not walk the easy road. They walk the narrow path, carved not by popularity, but by purpose. Many will not understand your discipline. Many will not understand your silence. Many will not comprehend why you walk away when others run toward the spotlight. It is because you know something they do not. You know that God does not anoint the crowd, he anoints the called. And the called must be separated before they are elevated. Before God uses a person publicly, he shapes them privately. So do not weep over the friendships that walked away. Do not mourn the people who couldn't stay. If they left, it was because they were never part of your assignment. If they turned against you, it was because their hearts could not handle the light God placed within you. If you were chosen, you must understand that not everyone will recognize your value, because your value is not visible, it is spiritual. The world sees with eyes of flesh, but God sees the heart. And those who are chosen are not validated by crowds, they are validated by God's silence and God's voice. When God separates you, it is because he is about to reveal something sacred within you. That loneliness you feel, it is not emptiness. It is space being made for divine downloads. That quietness around you, it is not absence. It is the presence of God drawing near. For when everyone leaves, God draws closer. When the world turns its back, God opens his arms. And what God builds in the wilderness, no man can destroy in the open. Solitude is the soil of strength. Separation is the school of the Spirit. When you have no one to lean on, you learn to lean fully on God. And let me tell you, those who walk alone with God are never truly alone. They are being accompanied by the one who made the stars. They are being mentored by the one who created wisdom. They are being loved by the one whose love does not fade, falter, or fail. Friends may leave, people may betray, but God remains. And when you have God, you lack nothing. The chosen ones have zero friends, not because they are unworthy, but because they are too costly. Not because they are broken, but because they are set apart. God does not allow everyone to access what he calls sacred. There is a sacredness to your soul that God is protecting. He is shielding you from connections that would corrupt your calling. He is guarding you from relationships that would distract from your purpose. He is keeping you alone not to punish you, but to preserve the purity of your walk with Him. Some people were never meant to walk with you into the next season. Some friends were only assigned to a chapter, not the whole story. And when their time is up, you must let them go. Because the longer you hold on to what God is removing, the longer you delay what God is preparing. You see, the chosen must be tested. The chosen must be forged in fire. And fire does not burn in crowds, it burns in solitude. The greatest revelations come not in rooms filled with noise, but in caves filled with stillness. And God speaks clearest in the wilderness. He molds the chosen in the secret place. He shapes them when no one is watching. And when the time is right, He will reveal them, not to make them famous, but to make Himself known through them. If you are chosen, prepare to be hidden. Prepare to be misunderstood. Prepare to walk alone. But do not be discouraged. For every tear you cry in secret, God bottles it up. For every night you spend in silence, God is near. For every betrayal you face, God is writing justice. God knows what they did. God knows who walked away. God knows how they laughed behind your back, but He also knows the greatness that lies ahead. And when the time is right, He will lift you, not by the hand of man, but by His own hand. And when God lifts, no man can bring down. Chosen ones walk alone because their ears are tuned to a different frequency. They don't crave gossip, they crave God's voice. They don't desire applause, they desire alignment. They don't chase attention, they chase assignment. And because of that, they often find themselves walking paths no one else dares to walk. They take stands others are too afraid to take. They carry burdens others are too weak to bear. But they do it with grace. They do it with humility. Because they know their strength comes from God, not from the approval of people. So if you find yourself in a season of isolation, don't fight it. Embrace it. It is God's way of preparing you for the elevation that is to come. The deeper the isolation, the higher the calling. The greater the pain, the heavier the anointing. And the more intense the warfare, the more powerful the purpose. You were not born to fit in. You were born to stand out. You were not called to be accepted. You were chosen to be set apart. And because you are set apart, not everyone will understand you, not everyone will like you, not everyone will stay. But that is not your concern. Your concern is obedience. Your concern is purity. Your concern is walking in the purpose God assigned to you before the foundations of the world. Let God be your friend. Let God be your comfort. Let God be your confidence. When everyone else is silent, let God speak. When the world turns against you, let God fight for you. When you feel unseen, let God remind you He sees you. He sees your heart. He sees your obedience. He sees your sacrifice. He sees how you still chose to love when others hated. He sees how you gave when others only took. He sees how you remained faithful when others walked away. And for every time you chose God over comfort, God over popularity, God over relationships, He is preparing a reward. Not just in the life to come, but even in this one. You will reap in joy what you sowed in tears. You will dance where you once crawled. You will be surrounded by favor where you once sat in loneliness. But don't rush it. Don't force friendships that God never approved. Don't entertain company that only drains your spirit. Don't allow loneliness to push you into compromise. Your worth is not measured by how many people surround you, but by how closely you walk with God. And those who walk closely with God often walk alone, but oh, what peace they carry. what wisdom they possess, what power flows through their quiet obedience. The chosen ones are God's secret weapons. They may look ordinary, but they carry extraordinary purpose. They may seem overlooked, but they are overseen by the Almighty. And when God says, now everything that was hidden will be revealed, the ones who were ignored will be honored, the ones who were mocked will be magnified, not because they fought for themselves, but because they trusted God to fight for them. And hear this truth deeply, for it will set your heart at ease. When God places a heavy anointing upon a person, He often removes every distraction around them so that their spirit can be fine-tuned to His divine instructions. You are not losing people, you are gaining clarity. You are not left behind, you are being carried by God's unseen hand. Isolation is not your enemy. It is the sacred womb in which destiny is born. And in this womb of separation, God nurtures courage, grows discernment, and strengthens the soul. When no one stands with you, it is because God is standing before you, behind you, beside you, and within you. Chosen ones do not belong to the noise of the world, they belong to the voice of God. And God's voice does not shout in crowds, it speaks in silence. That's why He pulls His chosen away from every voice that competes with His truth. He silences the familiar, so you may grow familiar with the sacred. This separation is not rejection, it is refinement. And refinement is not gentle, it is fire. God's fire doesn't come to destroy, it comes to purify. The loneliness you feel? It's not loneliness, it's the fire of holiness. The sting of solitude? It's not emptiness, it's the burning of everything that cannot walk with you into your calling. People often say they want to be used by God, but few are willing to pay the price of being chosen. It costs everything. It costs comfort. It costs popularity. It costs relationships. And that cost is loneliness. But let me tell you, the price is worth it. Because what God gives in return is eternal. He gives vision that sees beyond the veil. He gives wisdom that cuts through lies. He gives authority that can shake the very gates of darkness. And all of this comes not in a crowd, but in the quiet. In the place where it's just you and God and no one else. This is why you feel out of place when you're surrounded by many. This is why small talk drains your spirit. This is why you sense deception in hearts that smile at you. Because your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency. You are not built for surface-level connection. You are built for divine alignment. You cannot engage in gossip when your ears have been trained to hear God. You cannot blend in when you've been marked for something greater. You cannot pretend to be average when God has placed extraordinary weight on your shoulders. Chosen ones are not allowed to get comfortable in the crowd because they were never created to follow. They were created to lead. And leadership, true leadership under God's hand, is a lonely path. It means seeing what others cannot, hearing what others ignore, feeling burdens others shrug off, carrying vision that others mock. But do not let their laughter disturb your peace. Do not let their absence discourage your obedience. They laugh because they do not see what God has revealed to you. They leave because they do not hear what God has spoken to you. And God allows it because what He has planted in your soul must be protected from small minds, shallow hearts, and distracted spirits. Even your enemies are part of God's design. For God will often raise opposition to expose your strength. He will allow betrayal to test your loyalty, not to people, but to Him. He allows misunderstanding not to shame you, but to show you that your validation comes from Him alone. When people walk away, God is showing you who never belong. When doors shut, God is showing you the doors He will open. When voices go silent, God is preparing you to hear the only voice that matters. There is power in having no one but God. There is clarity in being stripped of noise. There is transformation in being broken in silence. And when God breaks you, it's not to ruin you. It's to rebuild you, stronger, wiser, sharper, purer. And when that rebuilding is done, no enemy can dismantle you. When God builds you in the dark, He makes you unshakable in the light. You become the kind of soul that can walk through fire and not be burned, that can face storms and not be shaken, that can be betrayed and still forgive. Because your anchor is not in people, it is in God. Chosen ones have zero friends, not because they are unfriendly, but because they are too spiritually deep to dwell in shallow circles. Their loyalty is to truth, not to comfort. Their desire is for purpose, not popularity. Their energy is reserved for assignments, not attachments. And this confuses the world. People want your presence, but not your purity. They want your light, but not your standard. They want your strength, but not your silence. And when you choose solitude over conformity, they call you difficult. But that is the price of divine distinction. And let us not forget, God does not rush the preparation of His chosen. You may be hidden for years, you may be misunderstood for seasons, but it is all part of the blueprint. Because what is being developed in you cannot be rushed. God is not building a moment, He is building a legacy. A legacy of obedience, a legacy of resilience, a legacy of resilience, a legacy of resiliency and distractions. So if you feel like you are walking this road alone, know this: you are not lost, you are led. You are not abandoned, you are being advanced. You are not without, you are being filled. And what you are being filled with cannot be given by men, it can only come from God. The weight of your assignment is heavy, because the purpose behind it is eternal. And only those who have learned to walk with God in secret can carry such weight in public. Every time you choose to remain silent when others slander you, you are being refined. Every time you walk away from a toxic connection, you are being strengthened. Every time you spend time in solitude seeking God's guidance, rather than chasing man's approval, you are being elevated. And one day they will look back and wonder how you made it, how you endured, how you carried so much. And the answer will be simple: God. It was God who sustained you, God who covered you, God who kept your name clean while others tried to stain it, God who provided when no one offered, God who whispered hope when the world shouted defeat, God who fought battles you never even saw, God who opened doors no man could shut. And it was in the silence, in the stillness, in the solitude that God became everything. So stop looking for validation in people who are blind to your purpose. Stop yearning for company that does not carry the depth of your calling. Stop compromising your peace to keep others comfortable. You were not called to fit in. You were set apart to shine. And the only way to shine in the dark is to embrace the fire that God places within you. Walk forward with your head high. Walk forward even if no one walks beside you, because the road of the chosen is not crowded, but it is covered by the hand of God. And that covering is better than any company. That protection is greater than any partnership. That presence is more powerful than any friendship. Let them wonder why you walk alone. Let them question your silence. Let them doubt your path. You don't owe them answers. You owe God your obedience. And obedience, even when it's lonely, is better than compromise surrounded by applause. You may have no friends, but you have a mission. You may have no tribe, but you have truth. And truth, when guarded by God, is mightier than 1,000 empty relationships. This is the destiny of the chosen, to be tested in isolation so they can be trusted in elevation, to be emptied of noise so they can be filled with purpose, to be stripped of every false comfort so they can stand clothed in divine power. God is not delaying you, He is developing you. And when He is done, what you carry will be undeniable. There comes a point in the life of the chosen where they stop asking, "Why me?" and start understanding it had to be me. For the weight they carry, the battles they endure, and the loneliness they face, it is not random. It is intentional. It is divinely orchestrated. When God sets you apart, He breaks you away from the patterns of the crowd. He pulls you out of shallow waters and calls you into the deep. And in the deep there is no noise, no distraction, no comfort, only God. And only those who have walked in that deep place know what it feels like to be completely emptied of human dependence and filled with the power of God alone. Some of you wonder why your phone no longer rings, why you sit alone when others gather, why you can feel surrounded yet unseen. It is because your spirit has outgrown the level of your former circles. When God elevates your calling, He also elevates your separation. You cannot walk in high places while clinging to low attachments. You cannot carry divine purpose while entertaining carnal company. God removes what cannot go with you, and though it may hurt, it is mercy. The silence you feel around you is not rejection. It is sacred ground. And the chosen ones must learn to stand on that holy ground with reverence, with humility, and with unshakable focus. There is a depth to the chosen that the world cannot comprehend. They see your calm, but they don't see the storm you survived. They see your strength, but they don't know the nights you cried to God with no one to comfort you but His invisible presence. They see the fruit, but they have no idea the pruning process it took, and still, through every breaking, God was building something. Through every betrayal, God was proving something. As you sit through every moment of silence, God was speaking something into your soul that no human could ever teach. Chosen ones are built in the unseen, they are strengthened in silence, and their reward is not the applause of people, but the approval of God. While others chase platform, they chase purity. While others seek attention, they seek alignment, and because of that, God trusts them with the assignments that no one else can carry. He hides them for a time, not to punish them, but to protect them from premature exposure. For anything exposed too soon becomes vulnerable to destruction, but what God hides, He sustains. And what He sustains, He will release in due season with unstoppable force. You may not have many to talk to, but you have much to say, because when God is your teacher, wisdom flows like rivers. You may not have crowds cheering you on, but you have the heavens watching in silence, as your obedience resounds louder than any voice. God does not need noise to confirm His hand on your life. His confirmation is internal. It's the peace that surpasses understanding. It's the strength that comes from nowhere. It's the clarity in confusion. It's the fire that burns in your bones when you know you're walking in purpose, even when you're walking alone. And oh, the chosen are not lonely because they lack love. They are lonely because they carry love that the world cannot yet recognize. They are not isolated because they are unloved. They are isolated because their love for God has become their ultimate priority. And anyone or anything that would hinder that love, that focus, that divine intimacy must be removed. This is not cruelty. This is covenant. God protects those who are in covenant with him by cutting off anything that competes for their loyalty. Understand this clearly. When you walk with God, you will be misunderstood because your spirit moves by a code the world does not know. You walk away from drama not because you're weak, but because peace is your companion. You ignore insults not because you're afraid, but because your assignment is too important to be delayed by distractions. You sit alone in rooms filled with chaos because your soul craves what only God can provide. And in those moments when no one understands you, when no one includes you, when no one stands beside you, God surrounds you. You may look like one, but you stand with the strength of many because God is your backing. Chosen ones are often misunderstood even by their own families. They are often the black sheep, the odd one, the one whose spirit feels heavy from a young age. They see the world differently. They sense deception quickly. They feel energies that others ignore because from the beginning God marked them. And that mark is spiritual. That mark is unseen yet undeniable. That mark will draw attacks, but it will also draw favor. That mark will isolate you from what is familiar, but it will align you with what is eternal. You are not late. You are not behind. You are being developed. And the deeper the development, the longer the process. Do not compare your journey to those around you, for their assignment is not yours. Their crowd is not your confirmation. Let God set your pace. Let God be your calendar. Let God be your timeline. When it is your time, no one will be able to stop what God has ordained. And when it is not your time, no one will be able to force what God has concealed. So yes, chosen ones often have zero friends, not because they are not worthy of love, but because their love is reserved for sacred purposes, reserved for divine missions, reserved for purity, not popularity. They are warriors in the spirit. They are watchmen in silence. They are vessels carrying fire in a world soaked in coldness. And fire does not settle where it is not welcomed. Fire does not blend in, it consumes. That is why many cannot stay around you, because your very presence convicts what they are unwilling to surrender. But do not dim your light to make others comfortable. Do not shrink to be more acceptable. God did not choose you to blend in. He chose you to be set apart, to carry truth, to walk in clarity, to confront darkness without fear, and to do it even when you're doing it alone. God walks with the one who dares to walk alone with him, and he gives that person strength that no crowd can offer. You don't need 10 people to agree with your path. You need one voice, God's. And when he says go, you go. When he says wait, you wait. When he says speak, you speak. And even if no one listens, even if no one supports, even if no one stands, God stands with you. And he will show in due time that your isolation was not in vain, that your silence was not wasted, that your sacrifice was not forgotten. The ones who walk alone with God are the ones who shake the world in quiet ways. They don't need microphones. They carry authority in their whisper. They don't need crowds. They walk with conviction. And when they rise with power. Not from people, but from the one who formed them in silence. And when the night grows darkest, when your heart aches from being misunderstood, overlooked, and forgotten by the very people you once trusted, remember this. It is in that sacred stillness that God whispers the loudest. He does not always speak when the room is filled. Sometimes God waits for the room to empty, for the clamor to quiet, for every familiar face to fade, just so your soul can finally tune in to Him alone. When you have nothing left but God, you will realize that God is more than enough. The chosen are trained in moments when no one is watching, no one is applauding, and no one is cheering. But God is present, measuring their faithfulness in the shadows. And oh, how different the chosen are. They cannot follow the crowd because they are guided by conviction. They cannot settle in compromise because they are stirred by divine standards. While others chase ease, the chosen are drawn to truth, even if that truth isolates them, even if it costs them everything. Their loyalty is not swayed by comfort. It is anchored in a deeper covenant with God. And because they choose that higher road, they must walk it alone. But that loneliness is not emptiness. It is preparation. For God is forging warriors, not wanderers. He is crafting vessels of power, not puppets of popularity. People will question your quiet. They will misinterpret your solitude. They will say you are distant, cold, arrogant, when in truth you are simply set apart. You have outgrown small talk and surface connections because your spirit is in tune with eternal things. Your eyes no longer crave what shines for a moment. They are fixed on what lasts forever, and that focus makes others uncomfortable. But it also makes you unstoppable. Because when God has your full attention, no distraction can derail you. No gossip can stain you. No betrayal can break you. You become immovable, not by your strength, but by the foundation God has built beneath your feet. Chosen ones carry burdens the world cannot see. They feel deeply. They sense danger before it strikes. They weep in silence while carrying smiles in public. Because their calling demands more than the world understands. And God allows it. He allows the pressing. He allows the pain. Because what He is producing in you is rare. It is precious. It cannot be rushed, cheapened, or polluted. That is why He isolates you, not to deprive you, but to purify you. He strips away distractions so that the anointing He pours into you is not diluted by worldly noise. And in that purification, you learn who you truly are. You learn that your worth was never found in who accepted you. It was always rooted in who created you. God does not consult opinions before He calls. He does not need confirmation from others before He sets someone apart. When God chooses, He chooses with full knowledge of your weaknesses, your failures, your past, your pain. And still He says, you, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Willing to be molded, broken, reshaped, and refined. Willing to walk alone, if it means walking with God. Willing to be rejected if it means remaining faithful. The chosen understand that every delay has purpose, that every closed door is God's protection, that every betrayal is a stepping stone, They do not crumble under rejection because they know rejection is redirection. They do not panic in silence because they have learned to hear God in the quiet. They are not afraid of solitude because they have tasted the sweetness of God's presence. And once you have encountered the reality of walking with God, no earthly relationship can replace that peace. Do not envy the ones who seem to have many friends, many admirers, and constant attention. For what looks like gain in the eyes of the world can often be a burden in the eyes of the Spirit. The chosen ones do not measure their lives by what they accumulate, but by how deeply they walk in obedience. And obedience, true obedience, often leads away from crowds and toward consecration. It leads away from applause and into anonymity, because before God uses you to speak loudly, He teaches you to listen deeply. God knows that those who have walked through the fire of isolation will not be swayed by flattery. They will not be intoxicated by fame. They will not compromise under pressure. Why? Because they have been with God when no one else was there. They have been strengthened in valleys so they can stand on mountains without arrogance. They have been emptied so God could fill them with what cannot be bought or stolen. They have learned to walk without crutches, and now they walk in spiritual authority. Because their authority comes from God, not from man. Chosen ones are not bitter about their solitude. They are sharpened by it. They don't cry over closed doors. They praise God for them. They don't beg to belong. They understand that the more they grow, the less they fit into what used to feel comfortable. And that okay, because they are not here to be accepted. They are here to fulfill an assignment. And every tear, every betrayal, every long night was shaping them for that divine mission. So if you are walking through a season where no one seems to understand you, where friends have disappeared, where family misreads you, where you feel like a stranger in rooms you once called home, know this: God is with you. He is not punishing you. He is positioning you. The solitude is sacred. The silence is holy, and what God is doing in you is preparing you for something far greater than what you left behind. There is a strength that only comes from walking with God alone, a clarity that only comes when you block out every other voice, a confidence that only arises when you've seen God make a way when no one else even cared to notice. And that strength will carry you, that clarity will guide you, that confidence will keep you when storms arise. For the one who walks with God may be alone in the eyes of the world, but they are never alone in reality. So do not curse the loneliness. Embrace it. Let it do its work. Let it strip you of every false dependency. Let it expose every idol. Let it cleanse your heart of every attachment that is not rooted in God. Because when the process is complete, you will emerge with something